Glencoe, on the corner of Hazel and Greenwood. I know your neighbors recall those moments of the kids playing and Jimmy having a heart attack right there and the police rushing in several times. I know that so began an incredible commitment to Glencoe. I looked it up and you joined Am Shalom in July of 1974. We weren't even in this building. We were at the Women's Library Club or above the bank or at Central School. But you were in the first 2 years of this congregation for 48 years, devoted members. He was always a little out of the box. That was Jimmy. He had a hearse for a car. He drove a Rolls Royce. He took you go-karting. He picked you up at the police station. He never missed a hockey game. He married both of his sons. He introduced you to everyone. He had a fabulous model train set. He knew every car ever built. He had big shoulders. He couldn't spell with beans. He would always help. He enjoyed food, especially food from Little Red Hen. He gave directions based on restaurants, not go to the corner and turn right, go to the McDonald's and turn right, and turn left at the Burger King. Everything was centered around the restaurants. He was never critical. He always had inventory, unknown tools, but they always worked. He knew everything. He knew how to fix it. For a big man, he was incredibly organized. And he was a big, big man. Everyone thought he would die young. I spoke to members of the Schreier family that he was always the one that everyone thought would die young, and in reality, he's one of the last. He outlived so many others. He had numerous heart attacks in his 40s, clots in his legs, thrombosis, taking shots every day. As a father and a grandfather, though, he enjoyed all of your interests. He wanted so much to be part of your lives. He was always a resource for others. He retired more than 20 years ago. He never complained. He always took your calls. He was straightforward and everyone knew it. He always had time. He was supportive to each one of you in your own way. He hated flying. He followed your every footsteps. He was always creative. He gave good feedback. Towards the later years, he was most comfortable in his chair watching TV. A long time and a valuable member of the Tuesday Dinner Club at Little Red Hen, where on Tuesdays they would decide, they would adjudicate the fate of the world, they would discuss issues, they would listen and talk over each other. But there was something so wise about the judge. I had the privilege of being at some of those meetings, some of those meals. His presence was truly felt. He was a good friend, a wonderful neighbor to so many. He exuded honesty. He was incredibly caring. He was fiercely loyal. He taught all of us to listen and don't judge quickly. He was a good role model. Never be negative. Those who knew him really knew him. He was always had a willingness to do anything. And in reality, he hung on for as long as he could. Issues with health always plagued him. Gallbladder, sepsis, not eating, sleeping a lot, terrible infections, tumor in the lung, transferred from Highland Park to Evanston Hospital to the Whitehall for weeks, in the last 6 weeks. All he wanted was to go home. That's all he wanted. To be home. The home that he loved, around the people that he loved. He had fought long enough. He was suffering. He had had enough. His body gave out. As his family, you did all that you could. All that you could. He had pushed and pushed and pushed for longer than anyone had ever expected. He died on Saturday at home, the place he loved. And in many ways, it was the perfect day to die. In the Torah, in synagogues all over the world on that Saturday, on this past Shabbat, we read Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 20, that says, "Justice, justice, you shall pursue." And I read it earlier that day, and I thought about all of the judges, all of the lawyers that I know that truly pursue justice. Because the Torah says, don't wait for justice. You gotta pursue justice. You gotta go after it. And that's what he did every day of his life. He didn't wait for justice to happen. He went out and he pursued it his entire life. The Honorable James Klein pursued justice. He made this world better, more fair, more just. He waited for all the facts before he gave his opinion. He taught you all to be big, to stand tall, to help others, to care deeply, and to always think outside the box. But most of all, he taught us do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. So when you walk out of the main sanctuary today, as his casket is wheeled out right by that mosaic, know that he lived for the 83 years, doing exactly what he should have been doing, and living by those words of Bible. Do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. Zedek, Zedek, Tirdof. Justice, justice, we should all pursue. Please rise. El Malay Rachamim, God full of compassion, dwelling in the heights and the depths, grant perfect rest under the wings of your presence to the Honorable James Klein, who has entered eternity. May he find refuge forever under the shadow of God's wings. May his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. At every funeral I've ever officiated at, I've said the following words: the dust returns to the earth, the spirit returns to God who gave it. It's only the house of the Spirit which we place within this casket that we take to Shalom Memorial Cemetery. It's only the vehicle that housed his soul, because a body is just a body, but a soul lives on forever. And so we return the body to the earth, the soul returns to God. We hold on to that soul. We embrace that soul. We feel that soul. As we honor that soul, as we honor the body today, with these words of our tradition, we say the Kaddish prayer, a prayer that does not talk about death, but rather reaffirms our commitment to life. In honor and memory, we say the Kaddish. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shemei Rabbah, Ne'almad, Yibrach, Kuteh, Ne'almad, Kuteh, K'chayechon of Yomechon of Chayei Kol Beit Yisrael, Agalah Yisman Ravid, Shemei Rabbah, Barak, Alam, Amel, Maya, Yitbarach, Yishkabach, Yitpahar, Yitpahan, Yitnaseh, Yithadar, Yitaleb, Yitalal, Shemei Kushad, Richu, La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'ibru amen. Yehei shlam araba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu be'al kol Yisrael, v'ibru amen. Oseh shalom b'romah, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu be'al kol Yisrael, v'ibru amen. May the source of peace have peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved among us, and let us say it. Amen. Please join the family for Shiva today and tomorrow at the home on Edgebrook in Glencoe, 6 to 9. Following the burial today, donations in his honor can be made to the charity of your choice. We hope and pray that his memory lives on. The Hebrew word for funeral is levayah, which means to accompany. All of you have come here accompanying Jim on this final journey. But it's to the grandchildren who spoke so beautifully today that we ask you to help him on this journey by escorting the casket from this room. But since here was a man who always thought outside the box, we're going to do things a little differently. You know, there's a song called Lakeshore Drive. It's a song written by Skip Hayes of the Chicago-based rock group Alada Hayes Jeremiah. And not many people know this, but in between jobs, in between working for the state's attorney's office, he represented a couple bands. And one of the bands was this band, who initially recorded this song December 31st, 1971, and released it in their 1973 album, Lakeshore Drive, by Bigfoot Records. The song is an homage to the famed lakefront in Chicago, a place that he loved. Fans of the song and residents of Chicago believe the song paints an accurate musical picture of living and driving in downtown Chicago. And so as he loved to do, as he loved to drive, as he would always be willing to drive, it seemed only appropriate as the casket is escorted on this final drive out of the sanctuary. It's only appropriate that it's done so with this beautiful song.
Towards the casket, face the casket.
downstairs and